you can. All right, so my name is Elizabeth Loudon, and I work for LTCC as the coordinator of outreach and dual enrollment. And the intent of this is kind of to explain the differences between dual and concurrent enrollment, and then also just help you to understand the process to go ahead and get started in planning for courses in winter, spring. So we have quarters, right? And our quarter systems run, winter for a couple of months, spring for a couple of months, and then we have a summer quarter as well. So the advantages of college and high school, of course, it's great to do dual, but I'm talking about concurrent too. And concurrent, by definition, is just taking classes with the college that are actually with other peers from college. So they're not the same people that you already know. They're not the people on your high school campus. You'll have much more diversity. And those are taught by a college professor who is probably not a high school teacher. In fact, there's only one. I think Travis Style is going to teach a class with LTCC. But otherwise, the rest of them, they're college teachers you haven't met yet. But there's a lot of advantages. It's free. You get to meet college professors and students, see how that works. Thankfully, you're familiar in Canvas. We use Canvas. You can stay in the district and get credit for both at the same time. So just because it's not offered on the high school campus doesn't mean that it's not worth credit for both towards high school graduation and college graduation. And you can easily accumulate a lot of credits because we allow you generously to take up to a full load every term, which is up to 4 college classes. So for example, you could take one at the high school campus, maybe Ashley Aminian's English class, and then you could take 3 at the college. So max of 4, which is pretty impressive. So moving forward, high school graduation requirements. You're probably familiar with this. These are the things that they're trying to get you to work towards every year so that you're actually able to graduate on time. And if you're attending school regularly and doing okay, you're probably going to have more credits than you actually need if you just attend high school by the time you're done, because they built in some flexibility here, honestly, just in case you need a little help or you fail class or something happens in life. So there is plenty of space in your schedule. But the other purpose of including this slide is just so you can see what subjects, because when you're picking a college class to count for both high school and college credit, it should correspond with one of these subject areas, and then it'll count easier. And I have a whole chart to show you on that. So dual credit options, these are both forms of dual credit, but at LTCC, we're talking about concurrent enrollment, which is dual credit where you're taking the college class. And at SDHS, it's a college class, but it's taught by a high school teacher who happens to also be a college teacher. And we have limited subjects at SDHS because of the pathways that are offered and the teachers that you have. So these are the examples of dual classes that we have offered. And you're probably familiar with some of them. Dental with Ferguson, digital media arts with Travis Style, hope I'm not butchering his name. Culinary with Jones, which is only the second level of culinary, sports med, and the whole pathway with Tenassi, Salcedo's Native Spanish 2. Just a handful of these are at the high school, but you would think that you're limited by these subjects, and that's not the case. If you want to take a college class, we have dozens of subjects for you to choose from. So for example, if you look at this list, the prefixes of the class might not make sense to you, but A&T stands for anthropology. We have 6 classes in anthropology alone that would be UC CSU transferable. So if you're planning to go to a CSU or a UC, those will probably satisfy some of your requirements. So that's a good choice. They will be worth 4 units at LTCC or 10 units at high school. So a year worth of high school credit. And they can fit into the different subjects. So I reprinted in the black box on the right the subjects that you're looking at when you're trying to graduate high school, and then made them all match up with courses that I would suggest students take. And so History 111 is a version of US history, for example. That's in orange halfway down the page. MAT stands for math. We have everything from college algebra or pre-college algebra, and all the way up to calculus 2. So you could take calculus, elementary statistics. As long as you're qualified for the course, you can take the course. And there are only maybe 2 or 3 courses at LTCC that we won't let high school students take. Otherwise, pretty much everything else in our catalog is fair game. We kind of discourage PE. That's the one thing, because actually it doesn't usually fit in for anything other than elective, and there's a lot of PE options at the high school, but pretty much everything else, including wilderness education, culinary stuff, some of which is just fun, like baking or soups or, I don't know, pastries, wedding cake. I mean, we have some really interesting culinary classes. All of that's on the table as well, just so you know. So I'll be making a list like this with color coding, and if you're interested, I will send it to you. Showing you kind of some options that I would recommend, but really our whole course catalog you could look through, and if you found something you were interested in, you might be qualified to take it. High school graduation requirements, once again, I just show like that on the left, these are the different categories you're supposed to fit into and how you could take these credits. This is probably a little on the confusing side, so I will move forward and we could get back to this one-on-one at any point. But basically, you have enough space in your schedule that you could actually almost earn an associate's degree. So if you're a freshman or a sophomore and you wanted to get on track to being almost done with a degree and definitely done with a handful of certificates, you could do that while you're still in high school if you're motivated enough. So the form looks like this. It's different from the one that you'll do for dual because this one you actually have to redo every time, and you have to put in what courses you're interested in. And then it can be done via e-signature, and your high school principal or counselor, usually your counselor, will sign it. And then you meet with an LTCC counselor, and this is how you get enrolled in the class. So you don't enroll yourself. They can help enroll you via that process, and I'll show you the process a little bit later. So one of the important things that's different from dual is that when you're in a college class with other college students and you're doing concurrent enrollment, you really have to follow the dates and deadlines. So for winter courses, we're starting in January, like 2 days after you guys come back from school or from break, either virtually or not, who knows at this point. But those courses are going to run, and I'm sorry, there's a typo here. Those courses are going to run from January until the 26th of March. So it should be a 3 for the month there, not a 2. Sorry about that. So they run a little over 2 months. That's our winter quarter. And so if you get into the course, you read the syllabus, which is the first thing you do when you get into a college class, and you see whether or not you think you can handle that class. And then you find like, uh-oh, I can't. I don't think I can do this. You can drop before the 15th, so a couple weeks or a week and a half into the class, and it won't show on your record at all. And then after that, you can drop before the 19th of February and still get a W, which is a withdraw. And it's not a bad thing really to have on your transcript. It means you tried the class, but for whatever reason, you had to get out of it. And spring course is the same. So you have to pay attention to these college dates and deadlines. And it's actually really important when you get to college because some of this will impact like your financial aid and of course, you know, your GPA and stuff like that. A through G requirements, you can meet A through G requirements by taking college classes in lieu of or as a replacement for high school classes. So in this slide, LTCC hasn't submitted a list to A through G for a long time, but I have a particular list and I could look up what A through G you're satisfying with any LTCC course. And there are many courses where you'll at least get elective A through G credit. So I think that's category G for electives, but A through G definitely works in. And many of the courses should be AP weighted or honors weighted. And that's actually something I'm working with the high school about. So we have to clarify that and we can talk about it when you're looking for what courses to take. But if it's offered at the high school as an honors course, chances are you can get honors credit at the college as well. That's kind of what we've agreed on thus far, just so you know. Because I know that matters to a lot of people who are trying to get ahead. Like your weighted GPA matters. So here's a certificate. And just for example, if you started even as a junior and you wanted to get a certificate at college, and all of this would transfer for you going to a CSU or a UC and potentially to another liberal arts college. Many of these courses will transfer anyways, so long as you earn above a C, and that's important. So they really only want A's or B's for transfer. But for a certificate, you can earn a certificate with C's, even with D's. You don't have to have passing grades, although, we always aim for the best that you can. This one is only a 4-course certificate. So you can get a certificate which looks awesome on your resume, awesome on your college application. And after that, it's like something official that gets you en route to something else, right? Like a degree. But it takes the speech class, English 101, English 102, a math class. If you need algebra, you can take algebra, and then the next semester take elementary statistics. Or if you don't need algebra, go right into statistics or calculus. And there you go. You have a certificate. So you could start that at any point and do it in fall, winter, spring, or even over summer and earn a certificate. This is like a really low unit count for a certificate, meaning that you only take a handful of classes and you have something concrete that you've earned that is useful and should go with you wherever you go afterwards, for the most part, with only a couple of exceptions. And I'll answer questions about that too, because I don't know where you're aiming to go after. And you don't have to know yet, by the way, of course. Also, this is another example of a path to a certificate, but this is a certificate for transfer to a UC. So let's say you've decided you want to go to a UC school, then you could, just by taking on an extra 1 or 2 classes, or replacing some of your classes that you're taking in a high school with college courses every fall, winter, and spring from 10th grade, or taking a handful of them over the summer. In any combination, this is just an idea of what the roadmap would look like. If you're replacing a handful of these courses, the courses that you're required to take in your high school graduation plan with college courses, then easily you could earn a huge certificate, a 50-unit certificate that gives you more than a year worth of credit towards graduating at a UC. So that would be really awesome if you want to transfer to a UC and you save a whole year worth of time and potentially also money, because it's getting more and more expensive. So part of why I'm in this job is I like to save people money. And that is something that you can do with early college credit. Work experience. So if you hold a job or if you volunteer in something, you can earn work experience credit. Now, just so you know, these are kind of like official internships. It's official internship credit. So it goes on your transcript. It makes your internship look more official. It can be on both your high school and college transcript. And for every 40 hours volunteering or 50 hours of work, if you do a handful of assignments associated with work experience, you can earn 1 unit of college credit. And this is often elective college credit, but it looks really, really good to have work-based learning and work-based experience on your resume somewhere. And then also connected to a curriculum, they love to see that. It means that, if you're going to be working anyway, you might as well be getting some credit for that. And all of that would be free to you as well, just so you know. So here's some links. I won't go into them. I will share this PowerPoint. If you did the survey, I will send it to you afterwards. There is one thing to say, because you're currently in dual classes, just so you know, during COVID times, because it is such a challenge to do remote instruction and to have predictability and, maintain one's sanity, right? Excused withdrawals exist, which means that even if you miss the withdraw date, the dates and deadlines, and this includes for college classes as well as dual at the high school, if you miss the dates and deadlines to withdraw, and then you found yourself still later struggling really hard and you can't do it, you got an F, you got a D, you don't want it on your transcript, you can request an excused withdrawal. And you say specifically this: due to COVID challenges, I would like to request an excused withdrawal. And you could email me that if you weren't doing well in that course, and we would make sure that you got that on your transcript. In fact, you can even go through with failing the class and then retroactively, meaning later, right? You can email after you failed the class and ask for an excused withdrawal. Now, this is designed just for COVID times. It probably won't exist past this spring. But what it means to me, to be completely honest, is that it's a really good time to try a college class if you haven't tried one before, because the risk is super, super low. If you find yourself over your head, you're not going to get stuck with an F. All you have to do is use that leniency, that flexibility that college has decided to give you because of the odd environment we're in, right? COVID times. So anyway, I can expand on that stuff later if you needed it, but I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. You're going to rock your classes. They're not that hard. That's what you'll find about college, and why it's great to do a college class as well, is that sometimes you find it's actually easier than you thought. And you're like, oh, I can totally do this. And then you start knocking out credits, get all kinds of college credit for free. So I linked to the schedule. This is how you read it. In every kind of, I don't know, subject, right? Like the math department, you see courses, it'll say something like this: elementary statistics. And then we have these different kinds of classes. Eve basically means that you're going to have some kind of virtual meeting time where you have to meet. So you wouldn't choose this class actually, because it might be during your regular school day and you wouldn't want to have it conflict with your sportsman class or something like that. But if it has Eve, that means there's synchronous times. Make sure that works with your schedule, because you have to attend in college. You have to. Otherwise, there's another type of course called online, right? We call it online. It's asynchronous, meaning that they don't have any meeting times that you have to actually attend. Or maybe there's one for a final or something, but generally it's done on your own pace. You still have dates and deadlines, but it's remote and done on your own. We also have some different variations on in-person and hybrid, but we're not sure what that's going to look like in spring. The hope is that we can get back to normal in person, but let's see about that. The other important part here is a lot of our courses are zero textbook cost, and the dates, run shorter than the terms that you usually would do in high school. So, deciphering this, understanding what transfers and what doesn't. If you want to go to a UC or CSU, definitely pick a class that says that it transfers to a UC or CSU. There are a handful of classes that do not, although they may totally be fun and worth doing, like avalanche preparedness, where you go out and learn how to dig out of avalanches. Like, you could do that. Maybe it won't transfer, but still totally worth it, maybe. So anyway, that's how you read that. We have transfer agreements. So if you do go to LTCC afterwards and finish up a degree or certificate, and then you want to transfer with the degree, you can actually, I have a typo in top there as well, but you can actually transfer to a lot of the UCs. If you just earned a 3.0 GPA, you're automatically in. You just do a very simple application and they will accept you. And Davis is included in that. So a 3.0 and above. Also, we have guarantees with CSUs if you earn a 2.0 or better. And we have a promise program, which actually can last up to 3 years. And it includes a lot of scholarship money and other services. So that's important just to keep on the horizon. And if you're undecided, you can just keep completing certificates and degrees, and you can do that even while you're in high school, and then, figure out what you want next. And it's very easy to transfer many of our credits. So I will stop sharing and